All right, let's get right into it. We're tackling one of the biggest questions for any team trying to get stuff done: Scrum versus Kanban. You've probably heard these words thrown around. They're basically the two most popular playbooks for building, well, just about anything these days. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly which one makes the most sense for you.
So, let's start with an analogy. Imagine your team is building a huge, sprawling Lego city. You've got different people working on skyscrapers, little houses, roads, the whole deal. It's complex, right? Everyone has to work together, piece by tiny piece.
Exactly. That's the million-dollar question. Without some kind of system, you just have a giant pile of bricks, half-built things everywhere, total chaos. And that's really the problem these frameworks are built to solve, bringing order and predictability to that creative chaos.
To avoid that Lego catastrophe, teams usually grab one of two main instruction manuals, Scrum or Kanban. Now, on the surface, they can look kind of similar, but trust me, at their core, they are built on totally different philosophies. Let's break them down.
First up, Scrum. Honestly, the best way to wrap your head around Scrum is to think of it like a big school project. You know, the teacher gives your group a really clear assignment, like build a working model of a volcano, and says you have exactly 2 weeks to get it done. For those 2 weeks, that volcano is your team's entire world. That fixed period of time, that's what we call a sprint. And then there's Kanban. This is a completely different vibe. Forget the school project and picture a busy pizza kitchen on a Friday night. Orders just keep coming in. One pepperoni, one veggie, one supreme. The cooks don't stop every 2 weeks to plan. They just grab the next ticket off the line and get to work. The whole point isn't a single big delivery. It's about keeping a smooth, constant flow of delicious pizzas going out the door.
Okay, so now that we have those basic ideas down, the school project versus the pizza kitchen, let's zoom in a bit. We're going to start by really looking at the super structured world of Scrum and its powerful 2-week rhythm.
So, a typical sprint is this very predictable cycle. It always kicks off with sprint planning. That's where the team gets together and says, okay, what can we realistically commit to finishing in the next 2 weeks? Then they put their heads down and do the work, with quick daily check-ins to make sure everyone's on the same page. At the very end, you have the sprint review, which is like the big reveal, where they show off what they built. And finally, my favorite part, the sprint retrospective, where they ask, what went well, what didn't, and how do we get even better next time? And then, the whole cycle starts over again.
Now here is the absolute golden rule of Scrum. Once that sprint starts, the plan is locked. It's sacred. So if some stakeholder runs in on day 3 with a brilliant new idea, the team can say, that sounds awesome. We'll put it on the list and can talk about it for the next sprint. This is huge because it protects the team from getting distracted and lets them actually focus on what they promised to deliver.
And you know what? This structured approach has pretty much taken over the world. A massive 87% of tech companies run on Scrum. Why? Well, because if you're building a brand new product and you have a clear goal in mind, that structure and rhythm give you an incredibly powerful and predictable way to make progress. All right, time to switch gears completely. Let's leave the structured world of Scrum's 2-week sprints behind and dive into the flexible, continuous flow of Kanban. In Kanban, it is all about visualizing your work. Just picture a simple board with columns. A task, say fixing a small bug, starts its life in the backlog, which is just a giant list of ideas. When it becomes important, it gets moved into the to-do column. A developer grabs it, moves it to in progress. When they're done, it goes to testing, and finally, done. It's this really simple, elegant, visual journey from idea to reality. But here is Kanban's secret weapon. It's called the WIP limit, which stands for work in progress. It's a simple rule that says you can't have too many things going on at once in any single column. For example, the testing team might say, our WIP limit is 2. That means they cannot pull a third item into testing until one of the first 2 is finished. This simple rule is genius. It prevents bottlenecks and forces the team to finish what they start. It keeps the whole system flowing smoothly. Okay, so that brings us to the ultimate question, right? One is all about structure, the other is all about flexibility. Which one is actually right for your team? Well, the truth is, it completely depends on the kind of work you're doing. And this table just lays it out perfectly. If you're building a big new feature or you've got a hard launch date you have to hit, Scrum is almost always your best bet. That sprint structure lets you measure your team's velocity, how fast they work, which is amazing for predicting when you'll be done. But if your world is all about unpredictable stuff like urgent bug fixes or ongoing customer support tickets, Kanban's flexibility is an absolute lifesaver. You can just pull in the next most important thing without waiting for a new sprint to start. So let's just boil it down one last time. Scrum is all about time, those fixed 2-week boxes where changes are a no-go. It's perfect for predictable projects. Kanban is all about flow, a continuous stream where you can change priorities at any moment. It's built for the unpredictable.
So it's pretty clear, right? It's an either-or. You got to pick a side. Team Scrum or Team Kanban? Well, what if I told you that you don't actually have to choose? What if there's a final twist here?
And that's where this cool idea called Scrum Band comes into play. It's exactly what it sounds like, a hybrid that lets you steal the best parts of both. So a team might use those structured 2-week sprints for their big planned feature work. But they also have a separate Kanban-style fast lane on their board for all that urgent, unplanned stuff, like a critical bug that just can't wait 2 weeks. And that right there is really the thought I want to leave you with. Maybe the question we should be asking isn't Scrum versus Kanban. Maybe it should be, how can we mix the structure of Scrum with the flexibility of Kanban to build something that is perfectly tailored to how our team actually works? Because at the end of the day, the best system is the one that helps your team win.